Ever get that feeling, you know, where you leave a presentation and poof, it's like it never even happened,
Oh, and
totally gone. But what if we could actually make our ideas stick, like really resonate with people?
that's what we're going to tackle today, the power of storytelling.
Yes. Because honestly, who doesn't love a good story?
Right. But it goes way beyond just entertainment.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about creating connections, building trust, and ultimately motivating people to take action.
Okay, so to help us unlock those storytelling superpowers,
We're diving deep into two books by Matthew Dix.
Stories Sell and Storyworthy,
Now, one focuses more on the business side of storytelling,
while the other really gets into the nitty-gritty of crafting a good story.
the actual techniques,
Exactly. And our mission today,
to make you a more captivating communicator,
Hmm.
whether you're pitching an idea to your boss
trying to close a deal.
or just sharing stories around a dinner table.
You know, I've actually been trying out one of Dick's techniques. It's called Homework for Life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, so basically at the end of each day, you write down the most story-worthy moment.
Interesting.
It's supposed to help you develop a storytelling lens. You know, start seeing those everyday experiences as potential stories.
So it's like training your brain to spot those little details that often make a story come alive.
Right. And let me tell you, my dog definitely provided some story-worthy material last night. Picture this. It's 3 in the morning. I am sound asleep. And suddenly, I feel this tugging on the sheets.
Uh-oh.
So I open my eyes, and there's my dog, leash in mouth, staring me down, ready for a walk.
No way. At 3 a.m.
Yep. Guess he decided it was time for an adventure.
That's hilarious. I bet Diggs would have a field day with that one.
Right. Maybe we can even use some of his techniques to flesh it out later.
Definitely.
But first, let's get back to Story Sell. Dix makes a really compelling case for storytelling as a tool for persuasion, especially in business.
It's all about tapping into emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, emotions are what drive action.
Exactly. And he's got this fantastic example in the book, the Domino's Pizza turnaround. Remember a while back when their pizza was, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly winning awards.
Oh, yeah, cardboard comes to mind.
Exactly. So instead of ignoring the criticism, what did they do?
They actually leaned into it.
Right.
They had this whole campaign where they admitted their pizza wasn't great
They owned their flaws.
and promised to do better.
It's counterintuitive, but it totally worked.
It really did.
That vulnerability resonated with people,
They came across as authentic, like they genuinely cared.
and sales went through the roof.
It's like a reminder that people crave that genuine connection
And stories are one of the most powerful ways to create it.
because they tap into our emotions, our experiences,
It all goes back to how our brains are wired. We're wired for narratives.
not bullet points.
Exactly. Think about it. We'll rewatch our favorite movies, reread a beloved book.
But how many PowerPoint presentations do you actually remember?
Exactly. So back to that homework for life thing.
Makes you realize those everyday moments, even something like a 3 a.m. dog walk, could actually be the seeds for some really great stories.
Absolutely. It's all about perspective. Story-worthy moments are happening all around us.
And according to Dix, at the heart of every great story, there's this 5-second moment, that point where everything changes.
It could be a sudden realization,
A moment of transformation.
the climax of the
Or maybe
story.
a subtle epiphany.
Exactly. And to create a really compelling narrative around that moment.
Dix suggests starting at the opposite point. So
Interesting.
you begin with, I was this, and through the story, you reveal how you became that.
Ah, that makes sense. So there's a natural arc.
It keeps people hooked. And he uses this great analogy in Story Sell. He says most business presentations are like round, white, and flavorless potatoes.
Okay, I get it.
Bland, boring, instantly forgettable.
Instead,
He says we need to grab attention with what he calls an elephant.
an elephant.
Yeah, it's like a really strong opening that immediately draws people in, sets the stakes high, creates a sense of suspense.
Like those movie trailers that make you desperate to see the film.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I like this elephant idea. Can you give me an example?
Sure. So think about the movie Die Hard. It opens with John McClane, this New York cop, flying to LA to see his wife.
Okay.
He hates flying, and he's barefoot on the plane, which already tells you something's a little off.
Right. Not your typical romantic reunion.
Definitely not. So when the limo driver asks him where to, McClane replies, closer to Japan.
Classic.
It's funny,
Yeah.
but it also kind of foreshadows that things are about to get crazy.
Right. He's clearly out of his element. And things are going to go wrong.
Exactly. And that's the elephant.
Setting the stage, creating anticipation.
And making you wonder what's going to happen next.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these techniques could work. But it's also making me think about how we all use these kinds of storytelling elements in everyday conversations.
Oh, totally. Like when we're sharing a story with friends, we naturally build suspense, drop hints, make people laugh.
Exactly. We're all natural storytellers in a way.
But by understanding these techniques more deliberately, we can be more intentional and impactful with how we communicate.
Absolutely.
This is so interesting. But before we go too far down the rabbit hole, I'm curious about the cinema of the mind idea. So it's not just about grabbing attention.
It's about making people see what you're saying, painting a vivid picture with your words.
Okay, how do we do that?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Cinema of the mind. All right, I'm ready to become like Spielberg or something.
Well, think about those amazing movie scenes that stay with you forever.
Yeah, totally.
It's those vivid visuals and the way they make you feel. That's exactly what we want to achieve with our story.
Okay, so how do we do that? With words.
With words, exactly.
Yeah.
And Dix has got some really cool techniques for that. He talks a lot about being specific.
Specific, okay.
Ditch the vague language and replace it with those little details, those sensory descriptions that make a scene come alive.
So instead of saying it was a successful product launch,
Right.
you'd say something like, the energy in the room was electric. People were high-fiving and cheering. I swear there were even a few tears.
Exactly. You're not just telling them it was successful. You're letting them experience that success. They can practically hear the cheers, see those happy faces.
Okay, so paint a picture with words.
Yeah.
Got it. What about jargon? Is that a no-no?
Big no-no. Jargon is like kryptonite to a good story. It's confusing. It creates distance. It's like speaking a foreign language that only a few people understand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Diggs actually tells a great story about having to explain a really complex technical concept to an audience that had no technical background.
Ooh, that's got to be tough.
It was.
That's
But
quite
instead
the-
of overwhelming them with all those technical terms,
He used a metaphor.
he did. He compared this technology to a simple whiteboard,
Yeah.
something everyone can relate to, right?
Ah, so it's about finding that common ground, that shared understanding.
Exactly.
This is making me realize how much storytelling is already woven into our everyday conversations, even when we don't realize it. It's about making those connections with people.
Absolutely. And Dix gives us even more tools to do that. Remember those vivid metaphors we talked about?
Yeah.
The elephant.
Yeah, the elephant, that attention-grabbing opening. What were the others?
We've got backpacks, those moments that create anticipation, and then bam, something unexpected happens.
Like packing for a smooth trip and then suddenly there's a detour.
Exactly. It throws you off course.
Yeah.
And it makes for a great story. What about you? Have you had any backpack moments in your work?
Let me think. Ow. I was giving a presentation on a new marketing strategy, and someone in the audience starts challenging my data.
Oh, that's rough.
It was. But I had to think on my feet, adapt my whole approach, and honestly, it made the presentation way more engaging.
That's awesome. You turned that unexpected challenge into a storytelling opportunity.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Dix talks about.
Okay, what else do we have?
Well, we have breadcrumbs. Those little hints, those clues you drop throughout the story,
Ooh, I like that.
building up to a bigger reveal, a surprise. It's like giving your audience little puzzle pieces, making them wonder what's going to happen next. Dix talks about this moth story where the speaker keeps mentioning a napkin with a few words scribbled on it.
Sounds intriguing already.
Right. It seems random at first,
But
but as the story unfolds, those words become crucial. They unlock a whole new layer of meaning.
ooh, that's so clever. Keeps the audience guessing.
Exactly. Okay, now we have hourglasses. Don't worry, this doesn't mean we're running out of time.
Whew, I was getting a little nervous there.
Hourglasses are about those moments in your story where you slow down time.
Ooh, interesting.
You know, those intense slow-motion scenes in movies where every detail becomes super vivid.
Okay, I get it. It's about creating that heightened awareness, that feeling of anticipation.
Exactly. You're letting the audience really savor those crucial moments, those intense emotions.
So how do we do that?
Dix has a powerful example in Storyworthy. He talks about the moment when he found out his first novel had been accepted for publication. Instead of just saying, I got the call and I was thrilled, he slows down time, describes everything in detail, how his voice trembled, how he frantically searched for his wife to tell her the news.
It makes you feel like you're right there with him.
Exactly. You're experiencing that raw emotion alongside him. It's incredibly powerful.
Wow, these metaphors are amazing. It's like we're learning a secret language of storytelling.
They are. We've got our elephant opening, our backpacks for surprise, breadcrumbs to build suspense, and hourglasses for emotional impact. And the best part,
What's that?
these techniques work, whether you're on a stage, in a boardroom, or just telling a story at dinner.
You know what? Maybe we should revisit that 3 a.m. dog walk story of mine and try applying some of these techniques.
Oh, I'm totally down for that. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, so we've got the 5-second moment. My dog, leash in mouth, staring me down at 3 in the morning.
Perfect.
No, how do I create an elephant opening? Something that will really hook the listener.
Let's think about the setting. It's 3 in the morning. You're sound asleep.
Right.
How can you paint that picture of peaceful stillness right before the chaos erupts?
Okay, let's see. The house is silent. The only sound is the hum of the refrigerator. Moonlight streaming through the window, creating these long shadows on the wall. I'm buried under the covers, probably dreaming about, sheep or something.
Ooh, I like it. You're setting the scene, creating that sense of calm, which will make the disruption even more dramatic.
Okay, so for the elephant, how about this? Suddenly, I feel this cold, wet nose nudging my hand,
Okay.
and I just swat it away, thinking it's my husband trying to be cute.
Ooh, nice. A little bit of mystery.
And it creates that contrast, the calm before the storm.
Exactly. And it sets up that unexpected element, right?
Yeah.
Because you're expecting your husband, not the dog.
Okay, now for the backpack. That moment of anticipation and then surprise.
What did you expect to happen when you felt that nudge? You thought it was your husband.
Right.
What if you play that up and then reveal the surprise?
Okay, so I could say something like, honey, stop it. I'm trying to sleep. But the nudging keeps going. It gets more insistent. And that's when I open my eyes. And there he is, my dog, with his leash in his mouth, just patiently waiting for his 3 a.m. walk.
That's perfect. The anticipation, the surprise, it's all there.
I'm starting to get really excited about this story.
We too. And we've only just scratched the surface. We can add even more layers with breadcrumbs and hourglasses, make it even more engaging.
This is incredible. I never thought my dog's little nighttime escapade could be so.
Story-worthy.
That's the beauty of it. Stories are everywhere, just waiting to be told.
All right, I'm ready for more. What other storytelling secrets does Matthew Dix have for us?
Okay.
We've got our elephants, our backpacks, even breadcrumbs. It's like we're building this whole storytelling arsenal.
We are. And every good storyteller needs a secret weapon. Run it.
Right? What is it?
Humor. But it's a delicate balance. Oh, yeah. Humor can be tricky. Like, you don't want to force it.
Exactly. You're not trying to be a stand-up comedian. The goal is to use humor to enhance the story.
So it's got to be genuine, like those moments that just naturally make you chuckle.
Exactly. Sometimes, even a well-placed pause can be more effective than a forced punchline.
Makes sense. It's about being authentic, letting the humor flow organically from the story.
Right. Like adding a pinch of spice to your food. A little bit enhances the flavor, but too much can ruin the dish.
Okay, I like that. So where does humor fit in with all these other techniques, like the elephant and the breadcrumbs?
You can sprinkle it throughout. Maybe you use a funny anecdote to illustrate a point, or a witty observation to break the tension.
So it's another tool in our toolbox, but one that needs to be used carefully.
Absolutely. Speaking of powerful tools, have you ever thought about the power of the pause?
The pause. I never really thought of that as a storytelling technique.
Oh, it's incredibly effective. A well-timed pause can create suspense, emphasize a point, or give the listener a moment to absorb what they've just heard.
Like in those movie scenes right before something big happens.
Exactly. It makes you hold your breath, lean in, wondering what's coming next.
And it works in everyday storytelling, too.
Totally. Think about your 3 a.m. dog walk story. How could you use a pause to really drive home the absurdity of that moment?
Maybe right after I reveal that it's actually my dog standing there with the leash in his mouth.
Uh-huh.
I could pause for a beat and then say something like, and that's how I ended up walking around my neighborhood in my pajamas at 3 in the morning.
Perfect. That pause creates that little bit of comedic anticipation. It lets the listener really savor the ridiculousness of the situation.
Wow, I never realized how much strategy goes into telling a good story. It's an art form.
It is. And it's a skill anyone can develop with practice. The more you pay attention to the stories around you, the more you experiment with these techniques, the more confident and engaging a storyteller you'll become.
It's making me think about how many stories are out there just waiting to be told.
Exactly. And with Dix's insights, we can all learn to harness their power, whether it's a funny story about your dog, a presentation at work, or just something you share with your friends. Stories can connect us, inspire us, make our lives a little richer.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I'm feeling so inspired to start noticing those stories all around me and experiment with these techniques to make my own stories come alive.
That's what it's all about. Remember, those everyday moments often hold the most unexpected stories. Just keep that homework for life going. Stay curious, and don't be afraid to share your unique perspective with the world.
And if you want to go even deeper into the art of storytelling, be sure to check out Matthew Dick's books, Story Cell and Storyworthy. They're full of even more insights that can help you become a truly captivating communicator.
Happy storytelling, everyone!